Hi, my people. Welcome to my newest birth chart natal chart reading. Today, we're going to be doing a birth chart natal chart reading on actually a synastry compatibility birth chart natal chart reading on Takeoff and Quavo. We're going to be comparing the natal charts of Takeoff and Quavo today. And yeah, thank you all for being here. If you're new to my channel, I am Lamarr Townsend. I'm a psychic, an energy channeler, a tarot reader, and an astrologer. If you would like your own personal reading, I am available on my website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. You can text me at 703-791-9162. You can also email me at lamar.townsend@gmail.com. And also, of course, visit my website. That's the best way to reach me for a personal reading, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. Like I said, phone readings, mediumship readings, and past life readings all have same day priority. So if you would like a reading, definitely check that out. By the way, this is my website. So once you've reached this page, you know you're on the right page. This is my website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. So once you've reached this page, you know you're on the right page. You can scroll down and read reviews from people who have purchased readings from me. You can also follow me, check me out on Instagram and Facebook. If you would like your own reading, go right to the store section of my website. This is where you can go to view all the rates, services, products, classes, and different types of things I offer. I offer email readings, I offer phone readings, I offer video recorded readings where you send your questions, and then I record myself doing your reading on my own time, and then I email you the video download link to keep. I also do birth chart readings. I do compatibility synastry readings, which is what we're about to do for Quavo and Takeoff. I also do mediumship readings if you want to connect to the ancestral spiritual realm. I do past life readings if you want to learn about your past lives. I do tarot classes, astrology classes, spiritual development classes, and there's a price point for everyone. So if you'd be interested in any of these things, then definitely check out my website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. So I've done an individual birth chart reading on Takeoff, so I definitely would check that out. I have not done an individual birth chart reading on Quavo. I might do that eventually, but today I figured we compare Quavo and Takeoff's natal chart just to kind of get an energy of the two of them in terms of astrology. I do believe that Takeoff recently had his funeral, so rest in peace, of course. And let's just go ahead and get right into it. Once again, if you want your own birth chart reading or natal chart reading, definitely check out my website, lamarrtownsendtarot.com. I am available and I would love to read for you. Let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, we're going to put in Takeoff's birth chart information or birthday information. So Takeoff, it looks like, was born on June 18th, 1994. Takeoff's chart will be the core data that we have here to the left, so we'll put his information here. Once again, he was born on June 18th, 1994. And excuse me if I just got back from the gym. So this is my gym t-shirt, or workout t-shirt. So he was born June 18th, 1994. He was born in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Let's look up Lawrenceville, Georgia. Lawrenceville, Ohio. I don't see Lawrenceville, Georgia. I think last time we had to improvise with his chart. So what was the nearest location we used? I'm going to have to go back and look at my old Takeoff birth chart reading I did and look at the location we used for his reading. So we used Atlanta as the location here.
Vortex deals with fate.
Atlanta. So I'm going to just use Atlanta as the location I used last time. Sometimes this happens with natal chart readings. You know, when you have a personal reading for a client, the client may not know the time they're born, they may not know the location they're born, or they may know the location they're born, but the location won't show up on the astrology chart, so you have to improvise. It is what it is. This is the life of an astrologer. A good astrologer will be able to read the chart irregardless, all right? So that is what that is. So we're going to go ahead and use Atlanta, Georgia as the correct location. Let's see if we had a time set last time. We'll just use the information from... I don't think we had a time. Did we have a time for his... No, I don't see a time. If the time is set at 12 noon, that means I didn't see a time. I usually set the time for 12 noon when I don't know the time someone's born. So take off birth time. We can look up. If nothing comes up, we'll just have to move on. I'm not seeing a birth time, so we'll move on for time's sake. I do have a lot of clients to get to actually, so let's look up Quavo's birthday information. So Quavo's information we're going to put over here in the background data. So I'll remove the camera just for now so you guys can see me put in the background data over here on the right for Quavo. So Quavo was born on April 2nd, 1991. So here we have 4/2/1991. April would be the fourth month, 2/1991. And he was born in Athens, Georgia, it says here. He was born in Athens, Georgia. So let's look up Athens as the location. Athens, Greece. Of course, we don't have Athens. Oh, wait, no. There's Athens, Georgia. Okay, so we do have Athens, Georgia as the location for Quavo. So I'm going to once again go ahead and set Takeoff's time for his chart at 12 noon. 12 noon is the middle of the day. It gives us 12 hours ahead, 12 hours behind to work with. Also, Quavo, let's see if we can find the time he was born. If not, we'll do the same thing for his chart. Birth time. I'm not seeing anything other than he was born on April 2nd, 1991 in here it says Lawrenceville, Georgia. I'm going to go with what came up on Google for him. I'm going to use Athens, Georgia, because that's what came up on Google for Quavo. I do know that they are related or were related at some point. We can also look on Wikipedia. Okay, on Wikipedia it says origin is Lawrenceville, Georgia, but he says he was born in Athens, Georgia here in on Wikipedia. I'm just going to use Athens. Georgia is, Atlanta is in Georgia, Athens is in Georgia, so we're good. As long as it's in the same state, we're working with what we can work with. Alright, so we're going to set his chart for 12 noon. And we've got both of their charts pulled up now. I'm going to put the camera back up. So, basically what we've got going on is on the outside here, these outside planets are Quavo's planets. And the planets on the inside here are Takeoff's planets. On the very inside, we have the numbers of the houses. And we also have the planets over here and other points and houses over here to refer to, as well as aspects over here as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so let's compare the two charts. So, first of all, because we don't know the exact time that they were born, we're not going to be able to look at the houses here. So we're just going to have to go based off the planets and the energies and the way they aspect one another based on the compatibility of their charts. So it looks like here that Takeoff is a Gemini. Now it's interesting because he's almost at the cusp there. He's born June 18th, 1994. So if he had been born a couple days later, he would have been on the cusp of Gemini and I believe Cancer. I'm going to still give him, he probably does have some Cancer energy in him, but he is a Gemini. As the Sun in Gemini, the Sun in astrology does rule one's connection to their life purpose, their higher self. The Sun also does rule with one's creativity, one's sense of self-expression, one's approach to romance, and things of this nature. Gemini is very creative with their mind. So once again, as I said, I believe in Takeoff's birth chart reading I did for him individually. Takeoff was very creative with his mind, his intellect. He was probably a very smart, highly intellectual individual, may have been very good with his words, probably was good with communication, and very adaptable with his energy. May have been a lot in his head too with the Sun in Gemini, as Geminis can be very much in their head, especially with all that Mercury energy. Sun in Gemini would show him that part of his purpose would be to use his intellect to teach others. Gemini can be a teacher in a lot of ways. It's interesting, when you have a Gemini child, for example, people always say, oh, the child can teach the parent in a lot of ways. And that can be the thing with Gemini. Geminis can be like little teachers as young children. Gemini, being ruled by the third house, being ruled by Mercury, is also one's young childhood to young adult years. Interestingly enough, Gemini also does rule cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings, and things of that nature. I do believe Takeoff and Quavo are cousins, or like play cousins or siblings or something like that. So that's kind of interesting. There, to me, that tells me that Takeoff probably um, was a ride or die for his families, his brothers, whomever he called his brothers or his cousins or whatever it may be. He may have valued family in that in that way and in that essence. This is in comparison to Quavo's Aries sun. Quavo's an Aries sun. Aries deals with leadership. Aries deals with masculinity. Aries deals with war and aggression. So as compared to probably Takeoff, where Takeoff was like someone who used his words, who used his brain, who used his intellect to get what he wanted. Quavo may have been someone who may be someone who more so uses his brawn, uses his reputation in some way, shape, or form. Aries can be very much about image. So by as comparison to Takeoff, where Takeoff may be more about like the actual content itself, as the music or you know social media content that they put out as a group or whatever it is. Takeoff may be more associated with the image. Aries is associated with image, how people see themselves, how one sees themselves. So this could show with Takeoff or Quavo having a little bit of Quavo would be more image oriented, but Quavo could also probably have more of an ego in some way, shape, or form. With the Sun in Aries, Quavo may definitely have been more hot headed in some way, shape, or form. But Quavo comes with that energy, so Quavo probably brought that energy to the group, that personality in a lot of ways, strong personality. In a lot of ways, Quavo may have been seen as the leader in certain ways, but just because you're the leader doesn't mean you're necessarily the brains or the intellect, or, it's just you're the one maybe that sticks out the most kind of thing. You're the one that has that specific image, that kind of thing. So that was definitely Quavo's essence, Aries can also be creative in its own right too. I wouldn't be surprised if for Quavo, like Quavo was influential in their image, the way they looked, the way they dressed, the way maybe, graphic design or something like that. Like I could see Quavo like being more centered, towards Quavo's lane in some way, shape, or form. Um, Performing even probably would be something Quavo would be good at. Whereas, once again, Takeoff is like could be a jack of all trades with that Gemini energy. Gemini is very adaptable. So Gemini, whatever you need Gemini to do, Gemini's there. All right. Quavo also does have his Mercury in Aries, so Quavo could probably be very abrasive in the way he communicates. Once again, mind you, I don't listen to their music, to be honest with you. If you ask me to name a Migos song, or even a Quavo song, or a Takeoff song for that matter, I could not name one. All right, to be honest with you. I'm just going based off of the energies here, the chart, and the way the planets are aligned. So I wouldn't be surprised if, I say all this to say I wouldn't be surprised if this came out in their music. You know, with it looks like Takeoff has his Mercury in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer can be very melodic in the way they speak. Mercury in Cancer can be very like an emotional in the way they speak. So maybe Takeoff could be more emotional, more nurturing in the way he communicated. Maybe more soft spoken to some degree. Particularly if he was around new people, as Cancer energy can be very suspicious of new people. So depending on who Takeoff was around, it's not that you necessarily got like you probably did get different sides of him, but like he could either be more talkative depending on like if he was around people he was comfortable around, or he could be less talkative if he was around people he didn't really know or feel comfortable being around, voicing his opinions, his beliefs, his ideas. With Mercury in Cancer, Cancer definitely does deal with family, the home, emotions, one's emotional expressions, and things of this nature. So, Takeoff to some degree could have been very sensitive with that Mercury in Cancer. Very intuitive, very psychic, to be honest with you. This is in comparison to Quavo's Mercury in Aries, which, once again, Mercury in Aries can be very abrasive. Mercury in Aries can be very loud. Mercury in Aries can, like, take over the room. Mercury in Aries can have a very, like, masculine way of speaking, masculine way of viewing things, whereas Mercury in Cancer may take more of the approach of taking the whole into account, taking everyone's feelings into account. Whereas Mercury in Aries is more so focused on self. So definitely in comparison to Takeoff, Quavo may be a little bit more self-centered, a little bit more self-focused. Definitely focused on image, the way they sound. I wouldn't be surprised with Mercury and Aries here if, like in the studio, Quavo may be the type of person where he may want to do more than one take if he didn't like particularly the way he sounded. The rest of the group could sound fine, but if Quavo didn't like the way he sounded or the words he said, it's like he has to do it again and again and again until it sounds perfect to him and goes along with his image and what people expect of him. So Quavo definitely plays a lot into image. With what I'm seeing from his chart so far, maybe not so much content. Quavo's more of an image type of person. He puts on an image. He, may put on a lifestyle kind of thing. He definitely has leadership qualities in a lot of ways. He could be, very successful solo wise with, having just a sun and Mercury in Aries alone. But Aries, this energy can do well not just in music, but like this could be like just being famous for being a celebrity kind of energy, that kind of energy. Whereas in comparison with Takeoff's energy with that Sun in Gemini and that Mercury in Cancer, it's more of like coming from a perspective of really wanting to like really having something to say, really wanting to connect to the creativity, the music, whatever it is, in a meaningful way. Not so much. It doesn't matter about image to take off. It's really about the content here, which is interesting. So Takeoff has his Venus in Leo. Venus does deal with how one makes their money, how one spends their money, one-on-one relationships, business partnerships. Leo's about loyalty. Leo's about self-expression, creativity, one's connection to their life purpose and higher self. So in a lot of ways, with Takeoff and his Venus and Leo energy, a relationship, a marriage for him is not just a relationship or a marriage in the form of like him having a wife and being happily ever after. This guy Takeoff with the Venus and Leo would be married also to his life purpose and his career, being a creative, making music. Like that in itself would be a marriage in some way, shape, or form. This is in comparison to Quavo's energy with Venus and Taurus. Quavo's definitely about his money, making money. And, with Venus and Taurus, Taurus can be very stubborn. Taurus can be very much about comfort. So as long as the money's rolling in, Quavo's good. Once again, Quavo has his relationship to whoever he's married to and whoever he's, kind of in a relationship with, and bound to. But he also has a relationship to the money. All right, that's his relationship. Whereas Takeoff has a relationship more so to the creativity, the purpose that comes from the making of the money. That's where Takeoff's essence comes in here. So when they lost Takeoff, they really lost like a lot of authenticity. They lost a lot of like artistic, I would say, authenticity. And just in the relationship of the group, the Migos. Based off of what I'm seeing here. A lot of these placements I'm seeing are neither good or nor bad, but I definitely could see Quavo being abrasive at times, or coming across as abrasive at times to Takeoff. All right. With all this Aries energy that Quavo has and Venus and Taurus, he could be like a little bit of a thrill seeker. He could be prone to spending a lot of money or just doing things for money, whereas maybe Takeoff was definitely more about integrity. You know, he may have been loyal once again to his creativity, loyal to the art, loyal to that sort of thing. Whereas Quavo's loyal to himself so far, from what I'm seeing, and loyal to the money. All right. Takeoff has his Mars in Taurus and his Lilith in Taurus, which is conjunct Quavo's Venus in Taurus. So I think this is part of what brought them together as a group. Like them moving in the same direction. I think Quavo gets along with people who are about their business, about their money, And if Quavo can make money together with someone, that's all the better. And I think, at some point, as we can see, because they eventually formed a group together, they were heading in the same direction in terms of money and finances. But it's interesting that Takeoff has his Lilith and Taurus. Lilith can be the shady side of one's personality. All right. Takeoff's Lilith is conjunct Quavo's Venus and Taurus once again. So was there maybe some sort of unscrupulous, underhanded behavior at times that went on between them connected to money, finances, business dealings? I'll trade you for this, I owe you, you owe me kind of thing, with that Lilith conjunct the Venus here in Taurus. Alright. This could also be like an exchange of money, like like a borrowing of money. Like, let me borrow, a couple thousand, I'll pay you back, kind of thing. But maybe never really paying the person back necessarily, or I'll get it back to you, don't worry about it, kind of thing. We'll make it double when we go on tour. Like, I don't know, these are just some things coming to my mind, right? This isn't necessarily a bad placement, but when you have conjunctions, there's always a good and a bad, a negative and a positive. Alright? So, yeah, they definitely are both money-minded business people to a degree, especially with Takeoff having his Mars and Taurus. He definitely was business savvy in his own right. But in a lot of ways, Takeoff may have been the one that did a lot of the work in certain ways, too. Quavo may have, in certain ways, benefited from maybe some of the moves that... Because Mars deals with making moves, going after what you want. Right? Mars also deals with one's physical appearance, one's image. So in this case, Takeoff may have been seen as the moneymaker in a lot of ways. Maybe behind the scenes, Takeoff could have a lot of, kind of low-key energy. But that Lilith and Taurus, that Lilith being that kind of shadow side of one's personality, that darker aspect of one's personality, conjunct Quavo's Venus and Taurus, money may have been a negative factor in their relationship in some way, shape, or form at some point. And they broke bread together, which is interesting. So money was a factor between these two at some point. Could also deal with property, ownership of the business, ownership of the group. Alright. With once again, Takeoff's Lilith being in Taurus, Takeoff could have done something to piss Quavo off. But in the same vein, Quavo could have done something to piss Takeoff off at some point, connected to money, finances, business. Maybe even spending money. Maybe one person getting more money than the other even. It could be that kind of energy as well. Could be a point of contention. We have Takeoff's Sun in Gemini conjunct Quavo's Mars in Gemini. So, with Quavo's Mars in Gemini, Quavo is someone with his Mars in Gemini who moves. He talks a lot. He may be someone who's always kind of planning, always scheming his next, plot or plan as well. Quavo with that Mars in Gemini. But Mars in Gemini can sometimes be a little bit clumsy, a little bit sloppy. This is conjunct to, like I said, Takeoff's Sun in Gemini. Mars can also deal with violence. So I wouldn't be surprised if these two at times had arguments. Maybe violent moments between the two of these two at times. Roughhousing, something like that. Alright. Also could be some jealousy. Wouldn't be surprised, once again, if there's like taking credit for each other's work. Like maybe someone wrote a full song, but it's like, even though I wrote the full song, I'll give you these bars. but the person that like didn't write the song takes credit for writing the song or writing their portion of the song even though they didn't. Like it could be those kind of things once again. Playing mind games with each other, playing head games, telephone, like games of telephone could go on between these two. But also kind of hovering around each other, staying close by to each other, maybe working on their own solo projects while working on stuff together and keeping an eye. You know how sometimes like you have um like back in elementary school or like like high school or even middle school, like someone would look over someone else's shoulder to see what they're doing or copy on their paper, making sure did you finish yet kind of thing. Like there could be that kind of energy between these two, like looking over each other's shoulders, seeing what the other is doing, you know, maybe making sure one isn't succeeding the other. Some friendly competition between these two, right? Interesting. Here we have Takeoff's Venus in Leo conjunct Quavo's Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter is about expansion, taking risks, taking chances, stepping outside one's comfort zones, higher education, higher learning. Quavo may have been the one to push the group further to success in a lot of ways. Takeoff may have been the one with connections, either initially or in general. But Quavo could have benefited from Takeoff's connections. Or Quavo could have benefited from Takeoff initially. In some way. Like maybe they started together, but maybe Takeoff, was getting more recognition or something like that. And Quavo maybe kind of found his success off the heels of that. Like it can be that kind of energy. But it may have been, down the line, Quavo who knew how to take, the formula that they created together and brand it or expand it to something, humongous, big. They became superstars. Jupiter deals with expansion, blow up, especially with Jupiter and Leo. So Quavo may have knew how to brand, in certain ways in order to get them to where they needed to be success wise. All right. Takeoff's the moon in Libra, which I remember that because I'm also a moon in Libra. This is in comparison to Quavo's moon in Scorpio. So Takeoff could be more even keel. Quavo, especially with his moon, his Aries sun, and his moon in Scorpio, could be a lot more intense. Quavo can have also like Quavo can kind of has the energy of like potential violence as well, because Scorpio is co-ruled by Mars. Mars rules Aries. So he has that double Mars energy. Either he may have been exposed to violence or like he can have like fits of rage or violence. Allegedly. Alright. Here we have Takeoff having Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio, North Node in Scorpio, and Pluto retrograde in Scorpio. This is conjunct Quavo's Pluto retrograde in Scorpio, Quavo's moon in Scorpio. Quavo also has vertex in Sagittarius here. So Quavo's moon in Scorpio is conjunct Takeoff's Pluto, North Node, and Jupiter, as well as his Pluto is conjunct Takeoff's Pluto, North Node, and Jupiter. Pluto is the planet of death. It's interesting they both have Pluto retrograde in Scorpio. Quavo's moon in Scorpio being conjunct Takeoff's Pluto in Scorpio retrograde, North Node in Scorpio, and Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio. This is definitely giving wrong time, wrong place vibes. This is definitely Potentially them being involved in some unscrupulous behavior. Potentially, I have to say, with this Pluto retrograde, they both have conjunct. Potentially some illegal activity, allegedly. Moon in Scorpio conjunct could show family being involved in some way, shape, or form, and I know these two are family, allegedly. Um, Scorpio just with evolution, change, endings, growth. This situation, Takeoff's death, is definitely a point of change, evolution, and growth for both of them soul wise. I'm kind of worried for Quavo though because he has his Pluto once again also retrograde, conjunct his moon in Scorpio. Family sometimes is not thicker than blood. Although with Takeoff's moon in Libra, this could also involve other people outside of family too. This definitely involves interpersonal relationships. Scorpio Pluto is also the planet and energy of like detective work, crime scenes, like that kind of thing. So I would say also this probably was not handled well. Um, North Node tells me this could be planned. This could have been planned in some way. This definitely could have been an inside job. Whether or not Quavo has insight to it in some way, I feel like he may definitely have some sort of insight. He could have some sort of intuitive nudge or feeling about the situation. With Vertex in Sagittarius here, it's interesting. Vertex deals with fate. Moon also deals with loyalty. This could also deal with a lack of loyalty. With Takeoff's Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio here, this could deal with someone not wanting to see Takeoff move forward or succeed, which was a theme I mentioned in their relationship earlier between Quavo and Takeoff, how there was like a little bit of a friendly competition, but it was maybe... Could it be friendly competition that ended in death? Not saying it's necessarily between just Quavo and Takeoff or Quavo and Takeoff in general, but interesting. He also, Quavo has Lilith in Sagittarius. Interesting. Quavo definitely can be impulsive. And with Lilith in Sagittarius, Lilith in Sagittarius can definitely be the energy of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. I would venture to say maybe both of these two people at the wrong place at the wrong time when Quavo or when Takeoff passed. Takeoff does have Saturn in Pisces, which would show him actually having like part of his career or purpose in life may be to do some work in the spiritual realm because Pisces is the spiritual realm. He also has his Neptune in Capricorn retrograde, his Vertex in Capricorn, and his Uranus in Capricorn retrograde. This is all conjunct Quavo's Uranus in Capricorn, Neptune in Capricorn, North Node retrograde in Capricorn, and Saturn in Aquarius. Definitely, the people Takeoff and Quavo were around. Although I feel like there's something where these two had separate camps. Like Takeoff may have had, like they may have ran in the same circles, but there's something where Takeoff definitely had his connection to his own separate people. Quavo had his connection to his own separate people. Like there's something about outside sources involved with this as well. Definitely could be some secrets involved here. Neptune and Capricorn conjunct Neptune and Capricorn retrograde. I feel like Takeoff moved in a certain way that like maybe caused this to happen in some way. It's like maybe Takeoff was the more brazen out of the three of them. and the other two are more likely to fall in line in some way, shape, or form. It's interesting. Takeoff's North Node is direct in Scorpio. Quavo's North Node is retrograde in Capricorn. North Node retrograde. First of all, North Node in Capricorn would show him having a South Node in Cancer. North Node in Capricorn is you is a purpose where you're meant to create something for yourself. However, with his North Node retrograde in Capricorn, he may revert back to old lifetime or old past habits, past life habits, which would be that South Node in Cancer, where he may be more likely to fall in line. He may be more likely to fall in line with the family, so to speak. I wonder what Quavo's relationship is with his family or his mother. Like, there's definitely something about the streets, what these two saw growing up or experienced growing up, playing a part in what happened between the two of these two people. Because they're Pluto retrograde in Scorpio. It's like whatever something that they were meant to heal from or evolve from came back to bite. So this could be the streets. You know what I'm saying? You know, they say, when you spend so much time in the streets, there's only a couple ways out, and one of those ways is death. Right? So maybe this is just an example once again, but if you have an upbringing in the streets, being around criminal activity, but then you get to a point where, you're very successful, you're, in the entertainment industry, you have all these connections. Therefore, spiritually wise, soul wise, you're meant to elevate and grow past the streets, but you still stay in the streets. We have Pluto retrograde in Scorpio energy. You have not learned your lessons. You have not evolved or grown from this trauma, this pain. You're still bringing it with you into your new experiences. So therefore, we have what happened. Sad. And somehow family's involved. You know how sometimes people say sometimes you can't take people with you can't take your family with you, because they bring you down. Or maybe you're trying to elevate, but your family's still doing criminal activity or, in the streets kind of thing. This could be that kind of energy, not having the right people around you. The people around you or, past experiences or you not healing from your trauma, your triggers, causing you to revert back to old habits. Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio for Takeoff, once again getting you caught up. This is an energy of getting caught up. They got caught up. And that's why I think I'm worried for Quavo, because Quavo still has that Pluto retrograde in Scorpio, and his moon conjunct Scorpio, so he still has the energy of potentially getting caught up again. Alright? Especially with his North Node retrograde in Capricorn. He has to be careful of family in particular. Extended or otherwise. Intimate or otherwise. Alright. Well, I mean, that's all I have. I can't believe I spent 38 minutes on this, but when I do a birth chart reading like this, it's usually an hour anyway. So it is what it is. We made it just under, an hour, just under 40 minutes. So I hope I was able to give you guys some clarity and insight a bit more into these two, their relationship dynamic. I think next I might do the relationship between Takeoff and Offset. Then maybe we'll look at the relationship between Offset and Quavo. I'm just kind of like enjoying looking into this deeper and diving into it and kind of figuring out like what I can see, through my psychic astrologer lens, kind of thing. So thank you all for listening and watching. I've got 8 clients to get to you all. It's going to be a long day for me and it's only 10 a.m. So thank you all for listening and watching. If you would like your own personal reading from me, do not hesitate to reach out. I am available. And I would love to read for you. You can text me once again at 703-791-9162. I am available for international clients as well. Or email me or visit my website, LamarrTownsendTarot.com. Either way, I'll hear from you soon. Thank you for listening and watching, and make sure you like the video. Psychic with a T, the psychic with the T, that's me, that's me. The one with the T, the one with the T, that's me, that's me. When the planets align, spirit speaks on time, that's me, that's me. When the planets align, spirit speaks on time, that's me, that's me. When the trolls be gone, candle work be strong, that's me, that's me. When the trolls be gone, candle work be strong, that's me, that's me. I don't care what the others say, let's channel some energy today. I don't care what the others say, let's channel some energy today. Capricorn, Virgo, Libra strong, this tarot card reading about to be long. Capricorn, Virgo, Libra strong, this tarot card reading about to be long. Psychic with a T, the psychic with the T, that's me, that's me. The one with the T, the one with the T, that's me, that's me. When the planets align, spirit speaks on time, that's me, that's me. When the planets align, spirit speaks on time, that's me, that's me. When the trolls be gone, candle work be strong, that's me, that's me. When the trolls be gone, candle work be strong, that's me, that's me.